Yoga for healing. Before I hit the video button, I was trying to figure out, listen to what cards to use for the next message. And I was guided to these cards. And once I picked them up, I started sneezing. I sneezed 4 times in a row. I thought it was going to stop at 3, but then the 4th one came because I was going to look up 3 sneezes in a row, the meaning. But I had to put in 4 sneezes in a row in the meaning because I had that 4th sneeze. And it means that there's a significant change, a shift is about to occur, and that someone is thinking about you, maybe even talking about you. But the important part of what I received of that is the shift, something significant on a good way is going to occur. And each sneeze can mean something different spiritually as far as that aspect of the message. Like, it could be significant about a person, place, or thing. Each one could be person, place, or thing, or something else. But they would all have 4 significant meanings. But you have to figure out what those meanings are for you. But I think it's really funny how, like, everything connects. Everything has a meaning. Everything is significant. The non-significant is still significant. The monster within. Internal struggle, personal challenges, wanting to improve. Sideways. I don't think you're having an issue, but someone may be having an issue. The call of the night. Daring adventure, excitement. I'm feeling that someone is having issues struggling with these 2 things. The monster within and the call of the night. They're having issues with releasing, maybe unlearning lessons and relearning new lessons. They're having a problem with releasing. They're probably meditating and waiting and hopefully listening for the answer. Religion, canon, rules, commandments. Call for help. Jealousy at the bottom of the deck. This monster within. This internal struggle that someone is having issues with. Personal challenges. They're wanting to improve, but they're still stuck in their head about what others think, how they see them. There's still someone that is relying on how others see them. They're not confident enough. Unable to find the good in your own mistakes. Blind to the potential for change. Defining yourself only in negative terms. They only can think negatively. They are dependent and reliant on others telling them they're doing a good job or they're going the right way. They don't even ask themselves. They go by how others tell them to go, how they think others think they should go. They are not knowing their own faults and flaws that can be used as those tools to guide them. Transforming their flaws into strengths. Knowing thyself, knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, and not blind to the potential of change. If you says, if you begin to practice discipline each day and create new ways of dealing with frustration and difficulties, you will find your so-called negative traits can be reshaped, and who you are will be redefined. Changing yourself is a great purpose. This is yours at this time. They're struggling. They need to realize it is not about what somebody else thinks, how somebody else feels. They need to be on their own purpose. Confidence is needed. They're being called to a daring adventure, taking a leap of faith, trusting in themselves is what I'm picking up. And they're in misery, not able to think. They like the thrill and the danger of change, but they are drawn to the occult unknown. They wish to understand, and they're experimenting. They've been testing. These children of the night have decided, because they lack confidence, they don't like change, they want to test things. They wanted to test your faith to see if you were real, and they end up being jealous of you. These children of the night that thought that they could lure you with their song. They took this daring adventure. It was like a routine. Time to step beyond the places and people where you feel safe. This is a time to stretch your wings and to seek out new friends, experience, and people. You will find so much if you dare to explore. They dared to explore, but it was not an adventure of self. It was an adventure of trying to maneuver another. They did this on a routine. This is where they stepped beyond. Trying to step on another's toes, to maybe take their shoes. Okay, you wanted to walk in someone else's shoes. You don't like yourself, you're unsure of yourself, but you feel good working with others on a daring adventure that you called excitement, using religion. So you wanted to use religion. Religion only means something that you do consistently on a regular basis. Did you know that? Look it up. You can do anything religiously. It doesn't mean anything about God or Christ or anything like that. Religion is all about something you're doing on a repeated way. Every Sunday you go into church. Every Wednesday you go into church, whatever. You brush your teeth religiously, right? So it's really wise to understand the English words, the etymology, how those words were derived. The need to adhere to strict beliefs means most souls will give their power away. And this is what this person has been doing. They don't feel they have any self-empowerment. Power concentrates in the few hands, can be led to an abuse of that power. You're being guided to learn more of the world's religions and begin to understand what has influenced your own life and your own culture, even your own laws. Universal law, that should be. And the condition under which you live. While this may sound exhausting, it will be helpful as you begin to understand a difference between personal ethics, faith, and connection. And a religion that was revealed to another and which you have been guided to partake in, to follow, even indirectly, to make your own. Now it is time to examine your heart and say, this is mine. This is what I worship. This is what I love. And stay on that path religiously. A higher path. Call for help. Your guides, your ancestors. And yeah, it does sound like a lot of work, but you know, that's funny that we come across this, because this is how I started years ago, before I even was aware of what I'm aware of now. I've always studied other religions. Muslim, like Islam, I did the prayers 6 times a day for months, probably a good year. I've talked with people about Judaism, and I've studied things on my own. Buddhism. And it's like all the religions have a piece. They have a key. And it's all separated. Once you get on that journey, you'll discover yourself. Call for help. You're being guided to seek your ancestors' higher power. Reach out when you're in need of backup and admit your needs. Be truthful to yourself. There's no need to sit and feel like a victim. It is a wonderful thing to have foreknowledge of when you need to work with protection and shielding. This will help you immensely. People really shy away if they saw a book at Barnes and Noble's on witchcraft, the occult. They would be embarrassed or ashamed to go and take it to the counter to pay for it, because they would be worrying about what the person is thinking. Do they think I do this? Do they think I do that? But if you're confident in yourself, you know who you are. You don't have those worries, because that doesn't affect you. You're gaining knowledge. You're doing something for you. And if you want to know what your enemies are doing and how they're thinking, you better study them, because they study you. That's a fact. So don't let people scare you or say idiotic things. Oh, you looking at that? Oh, you reading that? Because they're in fear. They're cowards. You better know your enemies, how they work. The art of war. Because this is a spiritual warfare, if you didn't know it. A warfare against those that cannot be in themselves, and they allow the monster within to control them, because they are worried about the persona, and they cannot make a self-proclaimed action, a step to take on their own in front of others. That's sad. That's really sad, because we are all brought into this world one by one, individually, solo dolo, butt naked. And if you're a grown-ass man or woman and you can't stand in your truth, what the hell? What in the hell? You are your own enemy. But then you want to look at others in jealousy, in envy, punishing yourself, so you want to punish others. Seek your ancestors, seek the guidance, learn more about other religions. Don't be stuck on one book. You better open plenty. Open your mind and open those books. Take out a pen and paper. And don't be afraid, because someone else meets their fate and it's a downfall, do you want to follow them right in because you'll have someone there with you? Jealousy and envy won't get you anywhere. Not at all. What do we need to know about this monster within, this person that's dealing with challenges of their own mentality, their own mind, because they're worried about the next person who's here the same way as them to serve a purpose. You have to know your own self, and if somebody else is all up in your business, you need to double check yourself and them and tell them to back up. Because if they're doing their own thing, living their life, how can they be trying to tell you what to do? You each have your own paths. They're trying to balance. They're doing a balancing act because they're not sure. They're not confident. They're still lacking that. And what about this Two of Pentacles, this balancing act? What can they expect? Wow. Knight of Wands. It's a Knight of Wands energy. This fiery, passionate one that likes to take these daring adventures, this risk. That likes this daring adventure. They find it exciting. So what's to come of this? They're being blocked. No forward process is going to take place. They're not efficient. They're not practical. They're not a hardworking, committed person. They want to pretend to be. They'll put in work being a devil, I assume. What is this Knight of Pentacles sideways? Someone that's obsessed with having control, coming in fast for financial investments. They need to feed off of you because they see your cup is overflowing. They want to come in so that you can pour into them using love, saying they have these newfound feelings. Use your intuition. They're going to use spirituality. They're going to tug at your heart and at your beliefs to see if you're truly standing 10 toes down. This is a test about to occur. Be ready. Stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. It's Queen of Wands. Courage wanted to flop out. So now we have the Queen of Wands. What's up with the Queen of Wands and the religion? This Queen of Wands is 10 toes down. She's standing firm. She reached out to her ancestors. She's aware. And that's why no one will be able to sneak away with tricks and lies with you. No one of jealousy and envy. You will strike their ass down. Five of Swords. You will always win over your rivalry because this is a one-sided battle. For one, they would never win. For two, you weren't fighting them. They're not getting away with their tricks, lies, and deceit. They need to find the courage to face the truth. That's the second time. Courage showed its face earlier. Now it's like, I'm coming down. They need to put in the work. They need to have courage. What else is it that we need to know about them and this courage at this time? An Emperor. Wow. That wants to have a 10 of Cups. A happy family. But this person is jealous of you. They want to get away with this deceit. They see you're standing firm on 10 toes down. You've been studying. You're aware. Now they must have the courage. They're holding tight on this energy of wanting to come in for this financial investment is how they see it. For their own growth. They're seeing or thinking that they need you. But if they need you, I don't know what they're going to do. Because a balancing act, wavering side to side, and being blocked spiritually because you want to come in to take control of a Queen of Wands and standing 10 toes down, you're not going to get away with. What about this Emperor? Tired of the drama. You're tired of this drama. What about this Emperor? They're in bank failure. They're in need. They're starving to death. Energetically and mentally and physically. They want to come back to you, but they don't want anything to be said about the past, what was already written, what was already done. So what's the come of this? Wow, look at that. They don't want to be a hater no more, but they're caught. As I said, now they're in need of anger management. Put your envy, your jealousy, and your conniving ways down, because if you don't, you're gonna go down hard. Bottom line. Your choice, though. But for the divine ones, we're not breaking a sweat. We're not even thinking about you unless we're reading your ass. Peace.